Very good morning. Welcome to Marri Reddy Institute of Technology and Management. I am PV Murthy, Associate Professor in Data Science Department. Today we are going to cover a topic in Java, method overloading. We elaborate today this method overloading, in what way it is important and works in Java. So method overloading, or in particularly the overloading, is a perfect feature in Java that allows developers multiple definitions with the same name. Okay, so that it applies both methods and constructors. Why? Because fundamentally we are having the with a similar signature or similar name. We have to define lot of functionalities. We can't, if you are giving the different names to the different functions of the similar nature, it is difficult to remember also. So this powerful feature, method of overloading or overloading, is uh, provides us a way to define similar functions or similar functionality. So this concept is the fundamental to understand object-oriented programming as polymorphism. That means the polymorphism, uh, different uh, signatures of the same name. Why we need to implement this method overloading? That is important. Okay, it dramatically improves code readability and using the familiar names for the related operations. So with the one familiar name, we can represent or remember related operations. So once if you can remember effectively, it improves code readability. So it also provides flexibility, allows programmers to perform one task with different types of or number of inputs. It performs one task with different types or number of inputs. So, say for example, think it like the word add in every language for adding two numbers or three numbers or even add items to shopping cart. So, based on the number of items we want to add, we can use this similar nature defined under overloading, easily remember and can be implemented. So what is this method overloading? In what way we can do? So method means the functions, overloading means using the same name, defining the similar nature. So the first thing is method overloading. It all functions, all similar functions contains same name. So multiple methods share an identical name in the same class. So multiple methods identifies, okay, or uses identical name within the same class. Okay, but if you are the all methods are having the same name, in what way it overload or it differentiate with each other? So each and every method contains the same name, but each and every individual method is having different parameters. Or okay, so each method has a unique parameter list that distinguishes that individual methods. So method can have the same name, but each and every method is having different set of parameters. Okay, so what way this Java compiler identifies is while compile selecting the appropriate method. When Java identifying the appropriate method when it is compiling, Java automatically chooses the right method based on the list of arguments or number of arguments or order of the arguments, or basically based on the arguments. Okay, so the parameters may differ. It may be based on the number of parameters or data type of the parameters or order of the parameters. So if it is based on the number of parameters, methods can accept different quantities of arguments. Like, say for example, if I want to add two numbers, you can say add AB. If I want to add three numbers, it can be add ABC. So based on the number of parameters, the compiler is choosing appropriate method. So sometimes the number of arguments may be same, but data types of the parameters may vary. So methods can handle different types such as add int or add double. So number of arguments are same, but in one case we are adding two integer numbers, in other case we are adding two double numbers. So based on the data type of the arguments, also the compiler selects appropriate one. So we are having the third category also, maybe the whatever the number of parameters we are using in the method execution. Okay, the sequence may differ. It may be in one case int and string. In the other case, maybe it may be reverse string and int. What it means is, in the first case, first argument is of integer data type, second argument is of type string data type. In the second type, the first argument may be string data type and second argument may be integer types. So based on the order of the parameters, the or order of the data types, the compiler automatically selects which method it has to select and execute. So be careful. We have the critical rule is every method, every functionalities, whenever we are executing, we are expecting one result as return data type. So the return type alone cannot overload a method. The arguments must differ either by the number of parameters or type of the parameters or order of the parameters. Even though all the three case conditions, it may return the same result as output. The return type alone is not sufficient. So it must differ by the parameter, either number or the type or order, to overload a method or to identify difference for the overloading methods to work. Okay, so one more question here is, can two methods with the same name and same number of parameters can be overloaded? No. Okay, clear. So because if you want to differentiate two methods, it must differ either by number of parameters or number of type of parameters or order of the parameters. No two functions have the same name and same number of parameters. Okay, this is one critical rule whenever we want to implement method overloading, in order to use familiar names among the functionality available in the same class. So the method overloading a different number of parameters. First of all, we'll see in what way we can use. Say for example, we are having this small code snippet. We are using a small calculator as indicated in the previous slides. We want to add two numbers A and B. So if you are giving arguments as two parameters, two number of parameters, it automatically selects this method and returns result A plus B. Okay. For example, if you given three arguments as input, A, B, C, the compiler automatically selects the second version of the add method and computes A plus B as result and results the A plus B as result. Okay, so the thing is, in the main method, under the public static void main, we are first creating for the class calculator an object C. Then we are invoking C dot add method. So only we are having the one object, but this time we provided the add method with the two arguments. In the second conditions, we are using the same object, the same method, but three number of arguments. So in these two conditions, it is returning two different outputs, because in the first condition it chosen the first version of the add method. In the second case, it is identifying the second version of the method. So this Java compiler intelligently determines which add method to invoke based on the number of arguments passed to it. So when you are calling add 10 comma 20, it is identified the first version it uses with the two parameter version. When you are calling add with the three parameters, it automatically selects or identifies second version with three parameters. Okay, right. So but whatever the code we written, this code already we supplied at the time of the compilation or compiler time. This type of overloading is called as compiler time polymorphism. Compile time polymorphism. The decision about which method to call is made during the compilation, not at runtime. We already given details which version to be selected based on the number of arguments. So we are calling it as compile time polymorphism, right? So this method overloading with different data types, now we'll see. So we are having the two versions. So say for example, we can have a number of versions also. So first of all, we can say integer addition. Next, we see the decimal addition. Whenever you want to add two integer numbers, we are defining a method add with the two integer data types. It returns an integer result. Okay, so we are defining one more function with the same name, same arguments name also, but different data type, called as now double data type. We accommodate double data type in order to perform addition of decimal type. So whenever we are adding these two data type arguments A and B, it is returning a result in the form of double data type, that means decimal type. So in the first case, we are getting only integer as a result. In the second case, we are getting with decimal values as result. So that means a double precision result. Initially, we are having the only integer version, integer as result. So in this particular case, number of arguments are same, but it is having different data types. So based on the data type, we are getting the result. So this showcases the method overloading based on the parameter data types. So even though both methods share the same name, they operate different types of numbers. So generally, whenever the compiler uses the larger data type to smaller data type, it may use the typecasting to determine which version to call, or we are using the explicit data types. Okay, in particularly, whenever the compiler choose whether it want to select a integer type or double data type, it type matches, it verifies with the matching of the data types. Okay, based on the data types matches, it selects the appropriate one. So in the first case, whenever we are using the 5 and 10 as integer arguments, it invokes the first method. Whenever you are using the 5.5 and 10.2 as arguments, it invokes decimal addition, because after it identifies appropriate type matching conditions. Okay, so type based selection happens automatically during compilation. The compiler automatically identifies type matching. So, right, in the conditions, you can identify the data types, or you can identify the uh, number of arguments, even the order of the arguments, number of arguments. When it will not be compiled. Okay, so for example, if we are having two methods, add int a and int b as arguments, return type is integer. If you are defining one more method, say for example, the same name, same arguments, but different return type, different return type. So here we think these two methods are differed by the return type. In one case integer, in other case double, but this method overloading will fails. Okay, so uh, we are already identified what is the requirement for method overloading. Okay, so what is our requirement, why it is failing? Java cannot distinguish between these method because they have different data types, even though it is having the identical parameter list. The only difference is the return type. Here it is having the same parameters, the typecasting it applies what the thing. Now number of arguments it is identifying, both are indicating the same data types. So there is, it creates an ambiguity, it creates an ambiguity in selecting the appropriate method. Only return type is after selection, after completion of the operation, whenever we are returning that the data, then only we are identifying. But for execution, we need to differ number of arguments, or data type of the arguments, or order of the arguments. Be careful. So this if you are giving the same data set, same data types, it always fails. Okay, so the rule is parameter list must differ, okay, for valid overloading. The problems whenever the occur is when return type creates an ambiguity. The problem creates when the return type creates ambiguity during method invocation only. The solution is we have to change either the number of arguments, or type of the arguments, or order of the arguments. Okay, right. So even the whenever we are using the order of arguments, the compiler automatically typecasts, identifies what are the data types, what is the order, which method it has to be execute. Thank you.